What is up everyone, it is me DevilNeverCry, and today I bring you my top tips for surviving Raccoon City. As many of you know, the world of survival horror can be quite difficult if you don't know what you're doing, so I thought I'd throw together a compendium of things you should be doing if you want to make it to the endgame in one piece. With that said, let's dive right in. First and foremost, you have to remember that this is a survival horror game. That means not everything needs to be killed. It's a natural reaction to want to eliminate an immediate threat. However, doing so can put you in a sticky situation later on in the game, where you find yourself low on ammo, faced with a plethora of enemies that need to be defeated for you to move on. Therefore, you should only kill if you absolutely have to. Keep in mind that even the basic zombies in this game are absolute bullet sponges. Even when you go for the head, you can find yourself emptying an entire handgun magazine, only for them to keep on coming. One simple strategy to alleviate this nonsense is to channel your inner mobster and go for the knees. Pump enough bullets into a zombie's legs, and they'll eventually break off, rendering them unable to stand or even walk. With that said though, they'll still be able to crawl, so do take caution, but seeing as your movement speed will be much faster than they are when they are crawling, you should not have much trouble. Moving swiftly on, let's talk about the map for a second. The map should be your best friend. You should be consulting it quite often, as it is key to surviving the horrors of this game. Not only does the map allow you to see which rooms you have and haven't entered, it also lets you know if you've cleared a room of any items or completed any puzzles in there. It'll tell you if there's a typewriter nearby, and it'll even tell you which keys are needed for a door provided you've previously checked them. And if you ever find yourself off the beaten path and lost in the game, the map will help guide you back to where you need to be. Speaking of maps and menus for a second, let's talk about the notes that you can find throughout the game. Not only do the notes flesh out the characters and story of Raccoon City, they also house important clues to certain puzzles. There'll be moments throughout the game where you'll find yourself coming across a locked safe or even a locked desk. More often than not, the combination to these locked containers can be found inside the notes that you pick up. Even though you might not be a fan of reading, you'll surely be a fan of the items that can be found inside. So always be on the lookout for notes and documents, and do make sure to read them. Let's talk about the inventory management here for a second. The tension and stress of the game is compounded multiple times by the fact that your inventory is limited, which means at certain points you'll be faced with the tough decision of having to pick up ammunition or a health item. And if you're very unlucky, you might find yourself having to drop a healing item or ammunition to pick up a key item. As a way of avoiding this, I'd suggest not picking up every single item you see at first. You gotta remember, these items aren't going anywhere, so you can always double back to pick them up another time. Or if that doesn't sound satisfying to you, then locate the nearest safe house and make frequent trips until you pick up everything you can. As a rule of thumb, I always left a save room with at least 3 empty slots in my inventory. This meant that I was allowed to pick up a comfortable amount of items, whilst not having to run back to the save room to drop items off every so often. Finally, let's talk about the Tyrant, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. X. I don't think this needs to be said, but under no circumstances should you engage in combat with Mr. X. It is a lost cause. You'll likely end up wasting precious ammunition, getting yourself hurted in the process, subsequently wasting a precious healing item. If you find that Mr. X is blocking off a path to where you need to go, simply run away or double back. There's often more ways than one to get to where you need to go. That's the beauty of the level design. If Mr. X is on your tail and you really need to get away, then drop a flashbang. This will stun him for 20 or so seconds, allowing you to get a much needed head start. But take care to remember, even though Mr. X can be stunned or even temporarily downed, he can't be permanently killed. If you should happen to keep all of that in mind, then Mr. X ain't gonna give it to you. And that about wraps it up for the basic tips you need to get yourself through Raccoon City. Be sure to like and subscribe if you watched the video, as there is more to come. With that said, it has been me, DevilNeverCry. I'd like to thank you for watching, and as always, I'll see you next video.